and this is my big sister Stacey.
And this is Sister Social Call. Well, hey, sissy.
Hello, sister.
How are you this evening?
I'm pretty good, not gonna lie. I got off work and went for a little walk afterwards, so that was pretty delightful. I went down to, and I posted it on the story, went down to the Beaver Dam, which was cool. I love it down there. How about you? How are you?
Good. Yep. It's episode 70, and the topic we're talking about tonight, Chrissy and I realized before we started recording, we had a real missed opportunity. Tonight we're going to talk about celibacy, and we had episode 69 last week. Like, it was a real missed opportunity if we were a little bit better on the planning.
Yeah, we could have had celibacy on the 69th episode.
Anyways, we want to welcome all of our listeners back to Sister Social Call and say a very special hello to our new listeners.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for those of you that are new for checking us out.
The last 2 weeks, we've had episodes that our listeners have suggested. So we had Yannicka suggested that we talk about books that changed our lives. So that was 2 weeks ago. Last week, we talked about conspiracy theories, and it's no surprise, but you guys are really into conspiracy theories. And then today, I've already let you guys know, but we're going to talk about celibacy, another topic that one of our listeners suggested to us. And not just what celibacy is, but why people choose it, what it teaches you, and what people get completely wrong about it.
Yes, because the moment you say I'm celibate, people either think you're going through something, midlife crisis, healing, heartbreak, spiritual journey, religious retreat, or people assume it's temporary. Like, okay, but when are you going back to normal? As if celibacy isn't a valid lifestyle choice on its own. So today we are unpacking celibacy as a decision and what it actually looks like in real life. And I'm happy that we're having this conversation today because when I was watching the show Age of Attraction, if anybody else has watched this, yeah, this came up in conversation with one of the girls and the guy that she was with. And so it was the girl who was 33 years younger than the guy she was seeing. And she was telling him that she was celibate and to respect that. And all the while she was being, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Like she
had a different color of celibacy, maybe we'll say. I think it's
correct.
For her, it was a shade of gray.
Okay, yeah, good point. And so I think this is an interesting topic because, and I'm happy here, you've actually defined in the notes here, you've defined celibacy because when we were going to be talking about this, I thought to myself, well, I better go look up the actual definition of celibacy because I'm maybe not sure. Maybe my definition of celibacy is also a shade of gray.
Yeah. Okay, well, so this is what the Canadian Oxford Dictionary defines celibacy as. It's the state of not being married and never having sex, especially for religious reasons. Or the second definition is the fact of not having sex for a certain period. So some people choose celibacy for spiritual reasons, like Chrissy said, some for emotional healing, some for personal discipline. And this is, the really interesting part to me of why people choose this lifestyle. So sis, I think we can both agree on people's religious freedoms and just leave it at that, but rather talk about some of the other points in their life. So let's start maybe with why people might choose celibacy for healing.
I was thinking about this today actually and thinking, oh my gosh, like how do I sum up all of what I want to say in regards to this? Because to be quite frank and honest, I'm in a period of celibacy myself at this very moment. And what's the term I'm looking for? Involuntary.
Yeah. Fair.
But still, it's honestly, there's a whole bunch of things that come to me when in this mode. So as you all know, I've been on this really big healing spiritual journey myself over the last few years and throughout the work that I've been doing and all of this. Last August, my partner of just about 6 years and I have split up. In this time frame, since since we have split, so it's almost been an entire year, I haven't been on a date. I've had no sexual partners. I've had and nothing like that. And I've also had no real interest because it's allowing me to discover different parts of myself that I've never really discovered before. And it's not necessarily conscious that this is happening, but for me, it has really allowed me to dive deep into that part of myself. I think it's been a really powerful thing for me to really take a step back and not have intercourse or sexual relations be the motivator as to like why I'm doing things or why I'm meeting people or going on dates or all that kind of stuff. After my relationship ended with Mark, I just knew that meaningless sex was not something I'll ever have again. Like I just knew that. It's like, well, I just won't ever, that will never be a thing in my life again. Cause it's instead of it actually being what we think as fulfilling when we do that, it's temporary, just like eating chocolate or smoking a cigarette or having a wine or smoking a doobie or whatever. It's just like that. It can be like that temporary dopamine hit. But in the long run, I think when you share your life with somebody that in a meaningless type of way, intimately, it takes like a little piece of you away every single time. And so I think this time has really given me an opportunity to reflect back on some parts of my life that are a little colorful and actually kind of dig deep into that and make sense of a lot of that stuff. So while this isn't necessarily like a chosen, I wasn't like, well, I'm going to be celibate for a year. I wasn't like, that's what I'm doing. It just so happened that that's what's been happening in my life, which I never really thought about it till we thought we were going to have this episode. I was like, actually, this is me. This is happening in my life right now. This is it. What are your thoughts on personal discipline or clarity, sister?
Yeah, those were a couple of other reasons when I looked up why people might become celibate. Honestly, Sissy, I have no judgment on people's reasons of why they would choose celibacy, voluntary or involuntary. They both seem like totally reasonable reasons to me why one would choose celibacy. I think the one thing that, and we kind of talked about it already off the top, is I think it's just really important to be clear or communicate and be consistent, especially if you're in a relationship, about what celibacy means. So we talked about at the top a little bit about age of attraction, where Vanilla said she was celibate. It told Jorge she was celibate, but like we said, it was pretty gray area. She was grinding him in bed, so her definition of celibacy was confusing to him, but it was also very confusing to me too.
Well, me too.
Yeah, to you too. Probably the world, but I think it's just really is a communication issue. I think it probably can be gray.
I think you're right. Like the communication part of it is totally key, especially if you are in some kind of a relationship with a partner. I think that having that communication, if you so choose to continue to be celibate, um, that's I think a really important part of it because if you are not, your feelings could be hurt. You could feel disrespected. Your partner could, there's all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
For sure.
it was, I think, probably a good example of the communication breakdown, but also that maybe some people's definition of celibacy is just not penetration.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was kind of what I was thinking. I was like, okay, so, and I thought that the definition would be a little more exact
A little
about
bit more
what.
black and white.
Yeah, right. But I guess it is an individual choice of of whoever decides to be celibate, what that means to them entirely. So you would have to, yeah, that's a big conversation to have.
Mm-hmm.
I am such a believer that human beings were meant to be intimate and physical with each other, and the human bodies are meant to touch each other. I just think that if somebody was to choose that, or that's that's where they're at in their life, then that is definitely important to those to have that communication and that dialogue, just no matter what. That's the key to everything.
What do you think is the hardest part of celibacy besides being like a dry spell or forever dry spell? Maybe that's me just assuming that it will stop at some point. But what do you think's the hardest part?
There can be some loneliness, physical and emotional, or social pressures and questions about why, how long, are you okay, all that kind of stuff. But I think that those are some things that you could feel. But when you start to feel that, I think that presents a new opportunity for you to really dig deep as to why you're feeling that. If I was feeling lonely and I was feeling like, oh, I want this, or I'm longing for this, it's like, what am I looking to fulfill within myself with that? That's the deeper question. And trust me, there's been times, honestly, where it's like, oh my gosh, like I could probably go for like a quickie. I could go for a little action, Jackson. And I do think about it, it's like, okay, well, what is that gonna provide you, Krista? And in the long run, it all the cons always outweigh the pros, because I know in my heart that I don't want to have meaningless, relationships with people, or meaningless sexual relationships with people. So it gives me an opportunity to really dig deep and work on another part of myself that perhaps I haven't gotten to yet. So I always really look at that kind of thing. One thing that I was wondering about though is, are you considered celibate if you're masturbating?
Oh, Sissy, that's not even in our show notes. And I was just going to ask you the exact same question. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Oh, see, we are so, ooh.
Again, I think it's that gray area because if you're like no penetration, but you're using like a vibrator or a dildo, like then I feel like that would not meet that definition. Like, so I think it's a gray area again.
Yeah, I
They
guess
don't
that's
need.
up to the individual who's choosing to be celibate, whether, because um if that is the case, then I would not be.
But I was thinking about the same thing. I was like, well, I guess it's everybody's personal definition of sex because that's how the Oxford Dictionary defines it. And I think some
Mhm,
people say that masturbating isn't sex, but it's sexual, but not
mhm.
sex. So again, very gray. Community.
That's a deeper, we could deep dive into that a little bit deeper, because I think about, if you're doing this for a religious reason or a spiritual reason, or for a healing reason, you're choosing to be celibate.
Mhm.
A lot of that might have to do with desire and not letting that overcome you. Like there's a lot more to that, I think, that could be unpacked. That's a whole other show. But it's interesting, because I think, oh, like if you're choosing to be celibate, there's definitely some probably big strong reason behind that. And I think if you were choosing to be celibate, then if for some deeper reasons, then probably masturbation would be off the table as well, because I think that would be fulfilling some desire.
Well, and like some people claim that it brings them a lot of clarity. And you've talked about that a little bit, about your healing journey because you stripped away all the pressure of having sex. And I think it really, if you're in a relationship and you've shared that you're celibate, I think it would really show a person's character very quickly if they didn't respect your choices and your boundaries. And I think that that could
Yeah.
be a real TSN turning point, really, in the
Yeah, and
relationship.
interesting because um yeah, definitely. And I think though I haven't necessarily, it's not like I'm saying, "Oh, I'm celibate and this is what I'm doing." However, I have made, like, in my heart, and in my soul, and to myself, I've said, I won't have like intimate sexual relations with somebody unless I absolutely know that there's like a deep, meaningful connection with that person.
Hmm.
And so that, if and when I start dating again, I probably won't be like, "Hey, just so you know, I'm celibate." But I would absolutely say, just so you know, and that there's no awkward miscommunication or misunderstanding. I'm not interested in hooking up with you. And that to me is something that we can wait for until we know where this is at and if this is something that we're going to move forward with. I would absolutely say that. I would, and I've even thought that, like, moving forward in my life as hopefully we'll start dating again one of these days soon. That's definitely going to be a conversation that happens. Like, I'm more attracted to truly getting to know somebody on a deeper level. I think that will be way more of a turn on and more exciting to me for when we do choose to be intimate together. And that I think needs to be a thing, because if you just meet somebody and they're just like, well, I just thought we were going to hook up. Well, we're obviously on very different pages.
Yeah. Do
So
you
that
think
is something I've thought about.
yeah,
Sorry.
well, do you think there are other misconceptions, or do you think there's misconceptions about the, celibacy that's out there?
I think that people might think that celibate people are repressed or it's only for religious people. It means that you're not dating or it's a permanent thing. Like, once you've said, "Oh, I'm celibate, this is going to be forever." And so I think there's some of those misconceptions, but I think just, if people can explain themselves, I think, and it'll help people understand their choice better. If I believe in something, I'm proud of it. I say it. Like, preach it, And so if I were, if I feel something, I'm okay with that. Maybe some people wouldn't, but I feel if you're going to make that big kind of decision in your life to be celibate, then you should own that and to help people understand that better.
Yeah. Well, I have one more thing to contemplate before I get into my final thoughts, but do you think there's a amount of time that you need to meet a threshold to be like, I'm celibate?
It's a good question too, sis. I don't know. I was really hopeful there was a bit more structure to celibacy than what there is, so we could understand it better. I don't know. Okay, I'm celibate this week. Like, I'm just on a dry spell this week. I'm celibate. I don't know. I don't know if there's a
Yeah.
time frame. I would say though, I think it would have to be a little bit of a length of time. Like, I think no less than 1 month to truly feel what it feels like to not be in intimate relationship with somebody. I don't know. I think it's very individual as well.
Like, because I could see somebody like on a spiritual or healing journey and be like, okay, I'm choosing not to be sexually active. And then day one, they celibate. But like, you're in this involuntary celibacy, maybe.
Let's highlight the involuntary part of it.
And that's what we should, yeah, call breakups now, involuntary celibacy. Anyways, and so
Yes, for sure.
and so you're like at this point, and I don't think on day one you would have, like, after your breakup, you're like, I'm celibate, right? Like, I don't think that would have been how it is. So,
No,
anyways,
I
it's
wasn't
just
even I wasn't even I wasn't even thinking that until we're going to have this podcast, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is me."
ugh.
Involuntarily. I'm like, I am in a state of celibacy right now.
Anyways, that was just something else that I was curious about. Like, is there a duration that you have to, like, a threshold that you have to meet before you're celibate? Other than, like, I can see when people are on maybe a religious journey.
I don't know the answer. I don't even know if there is an answer to that, Stacey. I think it's also,
Gray.
again, another personal. It's gray. Yep. A little gray and a very personal thing, I guess, for you. If you decide that being celibate is 1 week long, well, I guess that's what your celibacy looks like.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but personal choice, personal journey, and it's all fair game. So teach their own. But did you have any final thoughts on this topic, sis?
Well, I've shared with listeners before that when I was in university, I worked at Planned Parenthood in Regina. I am a strong proponent of a person's choice, and that spreads through a person's lifetime. So reproductive rights, our ability to choose made, and how we treat our bodies and ourselves. So with that framing in mind, is celibacy for everyone? No, but I understand and respect that it's somebody might be somebody's choice, and it might be critical to their autonomy and their empowerment and choosing what aligns with them. So that's just my final thoughts. It's not what I'm choosing in my life, but I think it is part of a person's ability to make choice in their lives.
Yeah, and I wanted to weigh in with you as well on that, and that I agree, Stacey. 100% that it is, that I'm very much like pro-choice in all of this as well. And I think it's up to an individual. And so I agree with all of what you just said there, sis.
Thank you.
No debate there. No, I am with you on that 100%. And I want our listeners to know that that's where we stand with that as well. So shall we move into our peaks, pits, and plans?
Yeah.
So do you want to go first or what do you think?
Well, sure. We'll move on to our peaks, pits, and plans, and I will go first tonight. I don't have any pits. It was a good week. No pits, so that's good. Peaks. Well, I got quite a list of them actually this week. It has been simply gorgeous out here. So I've gotten lots of walks in with friends, and we had a beach dinner with our pals already this week. So that was awesome. I borrowed a puzzle. It's a magic puzzle. And if you have not ever looked up a magic puzzle, I will make sure that I put a link in the show notes. But if you're a puzzler, they're the
I had
coolest.
to ask what it was. I had to ask what a magic puzzle was because I'm not a puzzler like my family is.
Mhm. Okay, and then probably the peak of the weekend was I planted my container garden. I planted some of it. So that was very exciting. I got,
Well, your garden's looking great so far.
yeah, all 7 things I planted. So I got 2 tomato plants from the local greenhouse here. They're like organic tomato plants, so that'll be nice. And I got a pepper plant. It said it's a jalapeno sriracha, which is interesting. And
Just a
I,
different variety. There's lots of varieties, jalapenos.
yeah, but they're very picked over in my town. People are planting jalapenos this year, that's for sure. And I got like some herbs, but I need to get basil. But I know I just gotta wait for the basil a little bit till I know for sure that we're not gonna get a weird frost before
Yeah,
the.
because basil likes heat. Did you know basil's from India? Alice told me that. It originated there. Like it originated there. There's probably lots of genetically modified types that
Mm,
are not, but yes, they love heat, heat, hot, hot. And for years I did not know that.
maybe I should move it to the back garden then, the back balcony garden. It's a lot of
Where it's
sun back
hot,
there
yeah.
though. A lot of sun. Okay, well, anyway, so I'm gonna try not kill anything this year.
Good plan.
Yeah. I did have one highlight plant. Well, Sean picked it out actually, a blackberry bush that says it's perfect for containers. So I'm going to try and grow a blackberry bush and possibly winter it over. So here's hoping that will
I'm
be a
curious
success.
about this one.
Yeah.
I saw your little garden tour. I had a couple questions, but you know what? You only learn by doing what you're doing. So I'll be
Hey,
excited to see how your carrots turn out.
I know, me too. And if they don't germinate in the next few days, then I will plant
Well, they
something
may
else in there.
germinate, sissy, but they're like a big taproot, right? The thing with a carrot is they have a lot of like they have lots of roots that come off of a carrot. And so they like to have a lot of space to grow down. So you may end up with some really nice saute stir-fried carrots.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's good
but
for me.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, you never know. You may have a variety that like there's all kinds of different varieties, and I'm sure there is a variety out there that grows great in tight spaces like
Yeah.
that. But carrots really like to be able to go downtown far.
Well, okay, so that's what my peaks were. Plans. Well, folks, it is Emergency Preparedness Week in Canada. And I guess I should have told that this was also a peak, as on Monday I attended a session doing a hazard risk and vulnerabilities analysis a workshop for our regional district. That is a peak because it's part of my volunteer gig. And so that was interesting. But yes, Emergency Preparedness Week continues on, and I am going to play trivia with my ESS volunteer group, my emergency support services group, because it is being put on by the fire department and Fire Smart about preparedness. And I feel like
Well, that'll be fun.
I have stacked our team. I hope we do well. Yeah, so that's tomorrow night. And then we have some dear friends coming out from Canmore over the weekend. So on Mother's Day, I'm going to be hosting Mother's Day brunch for them. And then we'll probably either go for a short hike or beach day, whatever they want to do. They have a toddler, so it will probably be up to the child, but we do. And so,
Yeah.
anyways, and Monday, we have some serious adulting that we have to get done. We need to do our tire changeover. We have not done that yet. And we need to talk to the bank about a mortgage renewal. Anyways, because that's happened
Fun.
upcoming on at the end of June. It's just life shit.
Life is lifing.
Yep, that's right. How about you, Sissy? What are your peaks, bits, and plans?
Okay, well, I only have one little pit and it's not too crazy, but when I lost my voice last week, it actually turned into like a bit of a sinus cold thing, which is still kind of lingering on a little bit. So that's not major, but it's just I just don't really get sick, but it seems like the older I get, when I do get sick, and no matter how healthy I try to be, it just doesn't quite go away as fast as it used to. But anyways, it doesn't matter. I feel fine. I just have a bit of a runny nose. And fine, no big deal. Weeks though, well, this is a huge one for me because I have been looking at my shitty deck for 3 years saying I need to stain this damn thing. I need to stain it. And my deck, you guys, is the entire length of my house. And then it goes around the side and it's massive. I think it's probably like 300 square feet or close to it. Like it's huge. So this past weekend, I sanded off all this old stain, sanded everything, got it totally ready to stain hopefully this coming up weekend. So that was such a huge peak for me. And then I didn't talk all weekend. I just listened to music and like sanded the frickin' deck down and pressure washed it. So my voice had a break, which is great. And then another peak is that, so I have a couple people who have recommended the Ultimate Deck Shop in Regina to me. Said this
Oh.
is the place you need to go to get your stain. So a quick shout out to them because I went there and I said, hey, I've had a couple people who have told me that this is the place to go and they were awesome and they answered all of my questions and they sell exactly what I'm looking for. It's not going to be super cheap, but it is going to be what I want. And I'm very excited about that. And they were able to give me a couple samples to take home to try. So I have decided I'm going to go with pecan. They told me browns are coming back in style. So it's going to feel dark, but I want to live dangerously and live on the edge a little bit. But a friend of mine, Colin, he is doing his deck this summer and he's choosing cedar, but he tested cedar, another one and a gold one. And he sent me all the pictures of those. And I love the look of them, but I don't want that for my own. And then Uncle Roger, he did his deck or not his deck, his fence in a color that almost looks like a whitewash. And I like the color too, but I want something a little more bold. So I'm going to go with pecan and it's dark brown, but it has gold undertones. So I think it's going to look super, super nice.
Okay, 2 questions quickly.
Okay.
First question, how long is the life cycle of this stain that you're doing? Like, are you going to do it next year again?
Well, here's the thing. So this is not a stain. This is actually an oil is what it's called. And so it penetrates right into the wood. It doesn't sit on top, which is what I'm looking for. Because I hate this paint stain where you have to scrape it off. Like that's not my jam. So this is an oil. It's actually really liquidy. And so I asked the guy, I said, how often will I have to do this? And I said, do I need one coat or two? He said, one only. He said, depending now your deck, because I haven't had it, one part of my deck hasn't been stained for a while. He said, perhaps if I wanted to do a second coat, wait till the fall. If I wanted to do that, but I think I'm just going to do the one coat. And now it really depends on like if your deck is in full sun, if it's in the shade, if it's high traffic, like it really depends on all the things going on. The majority of my deck is actually shaded because it's north facing and my house is on the like south side of the deck. So the house shades the deck predominantly. So I'm going to do one coat for sure this year. And then if I feel it needs another one, I will do one more coat next spring as well. But they said it should last, 3 years.
Okay. My next question, and you kind of talked about a little bit, your deck is shaded because of the houses, like it's on the south side of your house. It's anyhow. Are you worried that the brown is going to get hot on your bare feet?
Well, that's what everybody's saying to me. You don't want to go too dark, but the reality is that only a really small portion of my deck gets sunlight on it all day, truly. So no, I'm not worried about that, but people have actually said that to me. And I tried out two different colors. I tried out bark, it looks like burnt wood. It's very dark. I won't go with that. Pecan it's kind of got that darker brown, but it's got the gold undertones. So it's definitely not as dark. I don't think it'll be too hot.
Okay.
And I like the heat, and I think my cat will too, so we'll be loving it. So it's called Q-Tech Extreme Wood Oil. I'm very excited about this, you guys. I will post pictures of it for sure. The next peak that I have is that my paints came that I'm doing Famui paints.
Okay.
They're here.
Yeah, I know. Just go back a little bit so we can see it all on the screen.
Can you now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the collaboration I'm doing with Famui. They sent me the paints, so I'm going to be using them this weekend. Actually, I have to wait until I was going to do it this weekend, but I actually have to wait until they send me my like affiliate link. So I will be waiting for that, but I'll probably record the video this weekend and then wait for that to post it. So that's another. And then the other peak is that Stacey and I are working on some merch for Sister Social Call. And so we got this cutesy sweater in that I'm really liking. It's a sample and also really loving this. So I think we've dialed into what we're going to use or what we're going to offer. So you guys stay tuned. There's going to be some merch coming out. We're ordering it all. It's going to be through Allied Printers out of Regina. Henriette is a local lady here that lives at the beach. She works there. And so we are supporting local and they will do an online store for us. So kind of like drop shipping ish, but we have to iron out a few details yet, but it's coming. So get excited. Okay.
Yeah.
Plans.
And there's summer. Everything is summer weight.
Lightweight, yeah. So fingers crossed we can, because it's going to take a few weeks to get the store up and going once we dial this all in. So fingers crossed we at very latest have it for mid to end June. Those are exciting things that are happening for us. But my plans are to start staining this deck this weekend. I've told myself I'm not allowed to do any other yard work, anything else outside until this deck is stained because it's been on the radar for a few years. So I can't even pick a weed, clean up deer shit, rake, nothing. I'm not letting myself until this is done. So I'm staining the deck. So that's the plan. And then it's Mother's Day on Sunday. So Mother, Rhonda and I doing our tradition and we are going to go for brunch or lunch or supper. We're going to eat at some point. And we're going plant shopping. This is what we do. We are fiends for the plants. We're sad Stacy's not going to be here to enjoy, but we always do some major damage in the plant shopping department on this weekend. It really gets us fired up about garden season and we're just pumped. And I'm actually really pumped because Mom this year, like every year, she's I don't want to spend too much on plants. And last year she tried to start some plants. This year she's like, to hell with it. We're going shopping. That's it. I'm buying every single plant. So this woman is going to be on a mission with plants this year. It's going to be hilarious. I love it. So
I love this shift in mindset.
me too. Me too.
We've been
And
encouraging her to splurge on herself because she doesn't really. She's very thrifty and frugal.
but
So,
I think I think that's just her. And it's really just how it's going to be. It's kind of funny. We're always talking her off the ledge a little bit. And then she's just like, oh, no, 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 no. We're like, Mom, like, go treat yourself and whatever. And then sometimes she does. Like the other day, she bought herself a really good pair of Hoka shoes. And trust me, Mom is like a thrifty shopper. That's a big deal for her to go buy. But you know what? She's doing the walking challenge. She was starting to get some shin splints. So she's like, no, I need better shoes. So she did. She doesn't do it Yeah, she's just mindful, I would say. So, and then, okay, here's a big one for me of my plans. On Monday, I will be restarting my horseback riding lessons.
Exciting.
Woo! With Coulter at Rosefield Stables. So they have a gentleman working there named Coulter. He's a I guess a horse trainer, and so I will be taking in-person lessons with him. He's big into barrel racing, so I told him one day I'd like to go for a tour around the barrels. So we'll see. Just for fun, not like in any type of competition, but I would like to just do that once, at least once in my life. So that's
Like
exciting. Anyway,
get Jetta like trotting and like going kind of fast around the barrels.
yeah, they call it cantering actually. When she gets cantering, or I guess trotting. Yeah, cantering would be like the English, I think. I don't know much about horseback riding, but I'm really excited to get back there and get doing that. And I feel super pumped about it because I'm going on Mondays, every second Monday. It's a day off, so I'm not going to be scrambling to get to work. It's just going to be an enjoyable part of my day throughout the summer for sure. It's at 11 o'clock in the morning, so it's not going to be crazy. And I'm just like really looking forward to enjoying it and really working in person to person with somebody. So that's going to be fun.
Totally.
Anyway, holy doodle, we got talking on a lot of things there, but I think that's it for me really for this week. Just working and all that stuff. So I think that's going to do it for our episode today, you guys. So, as usual, you know the drill that if you like this episode, please give us, a thumbs up, a 5-star review, share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed to us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, all those places, please give us a subscribe. That really helps to push our podcast out to more listeners. And the more listeners that get to hear us, the more listeners will get to hear us. So, please do all of that. If you want to find us on social media, you can find Stacey on Facebook or LinkedIn. You can find myself, Krista, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And you can find Sisters Social Call on Instagram. I think that is going to wrap it up for us, sis.
Awesome. Love you, sissy.
Love you too, sis.